once we started making those first few songs, we were like, man, maybe we could take a run at this and like maybe let's make this a thing and try to put this music out and see what happens. And we put it out, and boom, before you know it, we was on that Bryson Tiller Trapsoul Tour, touring the entire U.S. and Europe, and that's kind of like where we knew we were like, all right, we got something going here.
But I remember that big wave from Bryson, and you guys having an opportunity to jump on that. That's what kind of experience was that for you guys?
I mean, it was definitely life-changing. Yeah. Shout out to Bryson for even giving us that opportunity, and shout out to Kara for putting us on it. But it was definitely life-changing for sure.
Nah, it was crazy because, like, you know, we were always up on like what was popping on SoundCloud and stuff at the time, and I remember like hearing "Don't" for the first time. Like, can we talk? Oh, can we talk? Can we talk
R&B? What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I apologize for interrupting really quick. I just wanted to talk to you guys about how much work it's taking us to contribute this incredible content for you guys. For all you R&B lovers that really enjoy these conversations from legends and new artists and just R&B contributors across the board, we would greatly appreciate if you just hit subscribe, like, and share this content. God bless you, and here's the episode. What's up? It's your boy Ian Vaughn. Welcome to another episode of the Can We Talk R&B podcast. And I'm super excited. I'm out here in LA, and this is full circle because I dropped these guys' names. I was talking about, you know, the up and coming regime of just R&B artists that's contributing to the culture in a fantastic way. And I mentioned this group called They. I got these boys in the building. Listen right now. Let's introduce my man Dante Jones and Andrew Love Neely. What's up, baby?
What's up, man? How you doing, man? Good to be on here, man. Good to be on here.
Pleasure to have you guys on the show, man. Thank y'all for out y'all busy schedule. You guys just got off tour, right?
Yeah. Earlier this week.
Yeah.
Just finished up.
Guys, so I'll just tell you, I was trying to. I think you guys were on the East Coast early this week in New York, or were you guys?
No, so we've been all up and down the West Coast.
West Coast,
just a nice little West Coast tour. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the guys on the team, I believe he's on the East Coast.
Right.
Brandon, yep.
Shout out Brandon. Shout out to Brandon.
Yeah, shout out Brandon.
That's why I was getting that confused.
Yeah.
So we have been talking the last couple of weeks, like, trying to find out where you guys were, because we're a traveling show. So I'm like, man, I want to get these guys at a convenient spot. You know what I'm saying? So we can get the interview going. So I'm going. Well, get the conversation going.
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm glad to have you guys on the show, man.
Man, we appreciate you. We've been watching what you've been doing, man. So we're a fan of the show and stuff. So we're glad to be a part of it, man. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get into it, man. Like, you guys tapping into, the type of R&B that we all love and respect. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not like, no disrespect to some of the other young guys that's contributing to the culture, but I'll just tell you how I was introduced to you. My wife was playing we was just riding, and I'm listening to her playlist. Mm-hmm. And that's just what we do. We got R&B playlists. I put together different songs, old, new, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And we're riding, and that Blue Moon comes on, right. And I was literally like, "Who is this?" I was like, "What is this?" You know what I mean? And I was just like, "Yo." I'm looking at the screen. She's like, I'm not sure who they are, but it's cold. And I'm like, they. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
So my producer now, I was just kind of shooting some videos of songs that I like. Mm-hmm. So next thing you know, on my TikTok, I'm just rolling to y'all record. And I'm singing the record. And then my producer's like, who is this? Who are these guys? And I'm like, it's a new group called They.
Yeah.
So you guys have been around for a few years now, right?
Yeah. We've been on and off since not on and off. We've been doing it since 2016 strong. I think it's like when we really 2015, 2016 strong. We've been kind of rolling, and just our whole goal this entire time has just been taking R&B and trying to do as many experimental things as we can with it, because a lot of the music that you hear nowadays is rooted from R&B.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So our goal from the beginning was, we kind of started out and we were kind of doing a lot of grunge stuff with R&B, and now we've, since then all the way up to this point, we've just been continuing to try to take risks, and Dante's been the spearhead of that entire thing. I met him in 2016, 2015, just doing session work. We were songwriter producer type of vibe, and then he quickly showed me the different type of risks you could take with R&B, and as soon as I started to hear some of the secret side things he was working on, and we just kind of hit the ground running with that, and
Yeah,
it's been a thing ever since.
I mean, yeah, it was just like Drew said. It was one of them things where we just kind of like clicked from day one. You know what I'm saying? But the vibe has always been there. It's just like doing R&B with like you said, a new energy. You know what I'm saying? We like to have like a lot of bounce and energy to the R&B that we do alongside, and still be a musical. And you know what I'm saying? Still have that classic feel or whatever. So I think that's just our MO, man. We try to just breathe life in different ways into the genre.
Yeah.
You know, in ways that, you know, unique to us but feels familiar at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you. Like that album, New Moon, like this album is one of the coldest. I mean, it's I just heard Kenyon Dixon just dropped a new album.
Yeah.
Cold.
It's cold.
Super cold.
And what's my girl? Why can't I think of her name?
Victoria?
Victoria. She dropped the you're on point. She dropped the album a month ago. Out of here.
Yeah.
But honestly, between the three of you guys, to me right now, and your album came out a little bit before, y'all got the three strongest R&B projects that I've been digesting this year.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that.
I consider myself the R&B ambassador. You know?
Nah, 100%.
I'm always tapping
big
in.
props, big props.
Nah, man, it's really a strong project. I love what you guys are contributing. So I guess like take me on a journey, just introducing you guys to our audience. Like, why R&B? Like, what got you into the space?
I mean, first of all, one of the main things with Drew and I is like we fans of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up listening to rap, hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like grunge, like whatever. I would listen to anything. Pop.
Yeah.
We both big fans of like boy bands
Yeah.
and things like that as well. So it's just like I think that we just in general are just fans of music. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, R&B is what really, you know, we aspire to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We both came up fans of groups like 112. And
Yeah.
I'm a big New Jack Swing fan too.
Come on.
So the, you know, foundation of that too is groups like I
Yeah.
love Guy and I love New Edition and I love
Yeah.
Janet and stuff like that. Anything by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis is
Come
like
on.
always gonna be my like what I'm
Godfathers.
into. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like that's always kind of been in the foundation of it. But I also think too, you know, when we first started working, it was around that time that like there was a big shift happening in music. It was around like 2014, 2015. We coming off the heels of like, you know, stuff that was really different at the time, like Yeezus and Travis was doing and saying and stuff like that. So like, I think that one of the main things that we got started off with was like, well, what if you did this type of production or something that had like some edge or some energy to it, but you had like damn near pop melodies on there. You know what I'm saying? With R&B harmonies and like, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to find different ways so we could take what was already happening and then just kind of develop it. And ever since then, we've been on a journey. Every album is like I don't know, it's like a new challenge almost. You know what I'm saying? To where like the first one was like, all right, cool, how do we fuse rock and R&B? And then one after that was more like, well, if you were to take stuff from like 99, 2000, like how would you make that sound like today with today's technology and today's sonics? And then this new album is like, it was kind of like a meeting of both worlds where it was like the dark feel of the original album while still some of the sensibility and the pop sensibility that we had on the second project, Amanda Tape. So ever since then, it's just like new frontiers. Like we love to take like a challenge. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't just look at it like, obviously it's our expression, but it's also like, how can we really push the envelope and get the genre in new places?
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
You guys, the producer, singer, artist, this is the first time I've seen that.
Yeah.
So as an official group, obviously you've seen units, you've seen Timbaland and Missy, you know what I'm saying? You've seen teams.
Yeah.
But in terms of what you guys are doing, like how'd that come to be?
Well, as I mentioned before, is when I first came out here around 2015, I was aspiring to be, an artist, but I started to see that like my predecessors kind of were able to make it by, you know, songwriting first. And I was like, all right, you know, I saw people like Neo and things like that. I'm like, all right, maybe I can learn to craft a perfect song first and like get better at that. So that when it's time to become an artist, I'll already have that and I'll have the relationships with some of these other artists that are in the industry. So I'm like, all right, let me take a back seat and let me start songwriting first. So one of the first people that I ended up working with was Dante, because my manager at the time and still a good friend of mine, Andrew Grant, linked us together. And that's a childhood friend of his.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so
together.
yeah, and so we just started working together, and we were working on some pitch stuff, like some pop stuff at the time. And it was cool, but it wasn't really fulfilling, I think. I felt like we knew that we could do something else. And he was like, oh, I'm working on some secret side stuff that I've been kind of stacking. I don't really know what to do with it yet. Like, you know, let me get your ear on it and see what you think. And those first few beats became the first few songs we ended up putting out. Africa, Back It Up, Bad Habits, you know what I mean? And those became our first 3 songs. And I was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? I was like, this dude is definitely thinking of things in a different way, in a different light, and I'm able to bring my own sensibilities to it. And we just clicked from a personal standpoint, like from a brother standpoint. We clicked over some waffle fries and some E&J, and we was just chopping it up, and you know what I'm saying? Listening, we had all the same interests.
What y'all young boys know about E&J?
Man, Irk and Jerk, man.
I think we didn't know any better.
We didn't know any better. It was like bottom shelf.
Bottom of the shelf,
I ain't had no money like that when I was coming out here. I had to hit the bottom shelf. So I'm like, all right, let me get that E&J. Let me get the waffle fries. And I was just over there, just, you know, chopping it up. And we fell in love. We had the same interests in the same musical passion. You know what I mean? Like he said, he mentioned like growing up on a lot of pop and punk and grunge and stuff like that. I listened to a lot of that too. But then, you know, my brother and my mother especially were able to like kind of like infuse that R&B influence into me, and then that pop stuff grew into like pop boy bands, which grew into like the R&B boy bands, which was like, you know, Boyz II Men, Jodeci, 112, you know what I'm saying, Jagged Edge, you know what I'm saying, and you know, he shared that same passion for those same groups, and we were just like, dang, once we started making those first few songs, we were like, man, maybe we could take a run at this and like maybe let's make this a thing and try to put this music out and see what happens. And we put it out, and boom, before you know it, we was on that Bryson Tiller Trapsoul Tour, touring the entire U.S. and Europe, and that's kind of like where we knew we were like, all right, we got something going here.
That's crazy. You mentioned that. I was going to get to, I guess, get to that. Bryson Tiller's Trapsoul, obviously Bryson took over the world like 2015, 2016. So you guys get together as a group and immediately jump on that tour, which is crazy. I want to, before we dive into that, you mentioned in we were talking about the producer, and you mentioned in the other like boy bands, y'all giving the, you know, Devontae, KC vibes,
for sure.
fused with Bryson Tiller. You know what I mean? Like, is that's the energy I get from you guys. Music. And just interacting with you guys here. So that's fantastic. So to jump on it, like, tell me about that experience jumping on the Trapsoul Tour. That was, I actually caught a few of those dates. I don't think I was there for any of the specific dates for you guys, but I remember coming out to LA at the Staples Center with Usher when he opened for Usher. I was that one, and there's another one for Revolt Conference around that same time in Miami. I caught 2 of those dates, but I remember that big wave from Bryson. And you guys having an opportunity to jump on that, that's what kind of experience was that for you guys?
I mean, it was definitely life-changing. Shout out to Bryson for even giving us that opportunity, and shout out to Kara for putting us on it. But it was definitely life-changing for sure.
Nah, it was crazy because, like, you know, we were always up on like what was popping on SoundCloud and stuff at the time. And I remember like hearing Don't for the first time. Like I think we were actually like together. And I was like, oh, this is hard. So about like 6-7 months later, we linked up with Kara Lewis as an agent, and this is before Trapsoul even dropped. This before he had even dropped it. He just had a couple songs out or whatever. And she was like, oh, y'all should hop on with Bryson. He's got a tour coming up in, you know, 4 or 5 months. And I was like, all right, yeah, that sounds cool. Not knowing what Trapsoul was about to be. Like, I had no idea. I don't think anybody could have, I don't think he anticipated it.
No way.
But at the same time, it was amazing because, like, not only did we get to do our thing and get out and perform for the first time, but we also got to see what, you know, what happens when it does pop. You know what I'm saying? And kind of sit back and watch and learn. And you know, I didn't expect we was going to go on this tour that, you know, Rihanna and Justin Bieber and everybody's going to be backstage, sitting there backstage in the LA show.
Like, this is not real, bro.
Nah, so it was an amazing ride, but, you know, especially for me, that was my first time of really being able to, like, travel the world because we did Europe with them, so that was my first time ever going to Europe, getting those type of experiences. And, you know, some of the venues that we were doing, you know, we were doing Radio City Music Hall back-to-back nights, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, so it was an amazing experience. It was one of them things, like, especially now that it's been a few years or whatever, like, just the context, you know, like, nah, that was a special moment. You know what I'm saying? That's something that doesn't really just be happening.
And a lot of new artists don't. I mean, the way Bryson blew up, you know what I'm saying, during that time, and he just became this staple in the game. We haven't really. I mean, I can name some artists that's had impact like that, but
hasn't really been anybody since then.
Not since then, and even before. You know, I can't think of a whole lot of new artists that got that type of that type of I don't know, it just made that type of impact.
No,
in
absolutely.
R&B.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a generational thing, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Just like you said, it's not something that really happened. So the fact that we was there, able to witness it, able to be a part of it, was like, it was dope, bro.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
sure. That's what's up. That's awesome. And I can hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like I can hear some of the influence of that trap soul style in your music.
Well, we try to take a little bit of everything, like, you know, things that we've listened to growing up,
Yeah.
whether it be the grunge or whether it be the pop or whether it be the, you know, the straight up R&B. I listened to a lot of Motown and funk. My dad was listening to a lot of funk. He was listening to a lot more hardcore, like Senses Fail and like
emo
Phoenix
stuff,
and
take it
emo
back
stuff
Sunday,
and Take It
yeah.
Back Sunday. And like we're able to like things that we listened to back then, plus things that we kind of like come across over the years. We try to like absorb those things and kind of blend them all together and find new ways to try to mix them up and present them to the public and things like that.
That's fantastic. I mean, R&B is one of those genres that is not limiting, right? So
Right.
you can
Nah, for
pull
sure.
from rock. You'll have Lenny Kravitz give you an R&B record that's rock,
Nah,
but it's,
real
you know what I'm
deal.
saying, I Belong to You. That's an R&B record.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
But it's, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Prince obviously was one of those guys who gave us a lot of funk, real rock, and he also gave us R&B. You know, so that's fantastic that you guys. I guess that's one of the things I do like about what you guys are doing. You don't hear one specific sound that just automatically stops you here. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you can pull all these different flavors, and you know, I think that is what makes you guys unique. I know the ladies love that type of vibe. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
for sure. I think, man, it's like, and this is me speaking personally, it's like, I've never been somebody that you could just like put in a box. Like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? This is what it is. Like, I don't really care about like, oh, rules and what somebody, it's like, if I like it, if I want to put a guitar and it sounds like a rock guitar in an R&B song, then, and
Yeah.
it works, cool. You know what I'm
Some
saying?
of the
Like,
vibes.
I know it's different, but at the same time, it's like, if it works, it works. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I think too, that comes from, you know, I came from like a little bit of like a pop background when I first came out to LA, like producing and stuff like that. I was doing stuff for like Kelly Clarkson and going to Nashville and doing stuff. So I think I just always had that love too of like instrumentation and like things being musical and things like that. So like I don't believe in too many rules. You know what I'm saying? Of like, oh, something has to be a certain way. It's just like somebody had to break the mold. Prince had to break the mold. Michael
That's
had to
right.
break the mold.
Come
Like,
on.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's just like, I think that while we got this opportunity and while we got this platform, it's important that we do things that's different. You know what I'm saying? You never know. You could spark the next idea. There's artists that come up to us to this day, based off our first EP that came out, and they're just like, I remember one kid, he's like, man, it was like the music I heard in my head like my whole life, but I didn't know how to like articulate
How
it.
to interpret it.
Exactly. So like that's the way I look at it. It's just like, as long as we, you know, got people's ears and can put, you know, new vibes and new things and new ideas out, like I'm happy, man.
Yeah, I love it. I tell people all the time, just contribute.
No, 100%.
Contribute.
You know what I mean?
There's so much of this stuff that's like outside of your control, right? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But as long as I know that we gave our best, and
Yep.
we did everything that we could, it's just like, you know, and two, even just being at these shows the past like couple weeks or whatever, it's like you see it impacts people. You know what I'm saying? And
I
that's
mean, you
what it's
guys,
really about.
I mean, I say you, we all, you know, I'm a singer songwriter myself. So it's
Yeah.
like as an independent artist, I put out music, been making music for years. I'm just contributing and offering.
No,
You know what
absolutely.
I'm saying? And I'm
Absolutely.
bringing in my audience, whoever it is that loves what I do, they're going to cater to it. And then you also, you build network. Like, you know, I'm
No,
listening
for
to
sure.
you guys. Again, this is, you know, I don't know how many months ago this was, but when I first heard that record, Blue Moon, I just was like, yo, this is like, these dudes that have it. I
Yeah.
had no idea that I would be having you guys on the show. You know, the show only been around a few months.
Right.
But, you know, as an R&B guy, I had the vision for this show. It's been like 3 or 4 years. And I just kind of was sitting on it, had all these other things going on. And just
Yeah.
this year, I called my producer. I'm like, yo, I had this idea to create a platform for R&B artists, you know, and creating a space like this.
Yeah.
And big shout out to all the other podcasts that are creating platforms for R&B.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, look, I want to have these conversations with not only my peers, but people who I'm fans of,
No,
you know,
absolutely.
across the board, and just introduce and just get people to listen to R&B music again.
Yep.
So speaking of, I guess, Spotify just put out something recently saying hip hop listening to the listeners for hip hop music is down 40%. From where it was. Obviously, hip hop being one of the biggest, what it is, pillars. R&B is on a 25% uptick.
Let's go.
And I was excited when I saw that because I'm like, I'm not saying that we are part of that in terms of our show, but it's not a coincidence that we're talking about R&B. All these other platforms are talking about R&B, and it seems like the fans are just yearning for, for love music, yearning for a different conversation.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Sonics, the whole deal. You know what I mean? Just kind of getting back to it. What are your thoughts on that? And how? Well, I mean, I know you guys are like streaming, going crazy right now. So, what are your thoughts on that as it relates to just the new wave of how music is going?
Well, I mean, I think it's about time that there's an uptick in the listening to R&B. Like I was saying before, like R&B is the root of a lot of different music that's coming out now, including a lot of the hip hop stuff that happens. Sure. You get a lot of people that are like, taking a lot of melodies and a lot of the melodic influence of R&B and applying it to the hip hop space and to the regular pop space. You know what I mean? So it's good to see that people are turning a more open ear to it. I mean, it's what we listened to growing up the most. It's what it influenced me the most, and I think what me and Dante's goal is mostly is to get not only people to listen to R&B more, but to try to take more risk with it. You know what I mean? Just because there's just bring back the groups. Where's the R&B groups, man?
Come on, man.
Like where's the passion that went with that? The stacked harmonies, the arrangements, the vocal arrangements, just the different risks that people took, the riffs, the runs, you know what I mean, the live sound of R&B, like turn the microphone back on, man. Like, where's all the soul? You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff that I miss listening to as a kid and as growing up. And like, I'm glad to see more and more people taking a risk and going out there and making more of this type of music, because it's just, there's nothing more liberating than watching like a well put together R&B show, in my opinion. And I feel like me and Dante do that, and I think we do that within the music too. And I'm excited to continue to make that stuff and inspire more people, because it's not just about making the music, but we make it as a means of inspiration. Yeah. Like, even if we don't become the biggest and best R&B group of all time, at least, maybe we inspire the people that do. Yeah. Maybe we inspire the people that do become the biggest producer, biggest R&B producer of all time, or the biggest R&B artist or group. Maybe it comes from something that we made. Sure. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah, so. And that's the thing. It's like we talked about a second ago. You guys are giving an offer. You guys are contributing. Yeah. And you're gonna, there's somebody gonna be listening to what you're doing, inspired by that. But you're just making an impact. That's what you're doing.
For sure.
What we talk about. I like to always go to your background in music, like how did it all start? I'm hearing the artists that you guys listen to in those styles. Did you have your parents? Were they musicians? Like, did you grow up learning instruments? Tell me your background story as it relates to how you got into music in general.
Yeah, I think organically I was always just a music fan. Like, my mom had a crazy record collection, CD collection growing up. So like, and she was also the same type of mindset, where like she didn't limit herself to what she would listen to. So, as much as she listened to Janet, she listened to Eric Clapton, or you know what I'm saying, really anything. So also too, like, I think as a kid I just kind of gravitated towards just like learning about music. So I was the type, I would sit up in my room and watch like VH1 video countdowns and behind the music and all that stuff. Like, I genuinely just like everything. Yeah. But as far as making music, my introduction to that was my older brother Marvin, because I don't really come from like a musical family per se. You know what I'm saying? They were music lovers, but nobody was really like
playing an instrument.
I think my grandma had like a piano or something like that.
Gotcha.
But that was about it. You know what I'm saying? But my brother, he actually, because I grew up in Colorado, and he had moved out here, and within that time, he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna start making beats." Like, it never really stuck for him, but he moved back in the crib with us, and he had like a keyboard and a mixer, and this is my like older brother I looked up to. He was like all-state basketball player, like nice. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just always like super cool and stuff. So like whatever he did, I wanted to do. Yeah. So I was like 12 years old when he moved back in the crib, and he brought like, he had a rolling keyboard and stuff, and I just started messing around. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And like within like 6 months, I was like better than him. Wow. So I think ever since then, I just kind of stuck with it. Throughout high school, it was just kind of like off and on or whatever. But you know, I just kind of stuck with it. And then I met a family member who was working in the industry, a really successful producer, Brian Kennedy.
Okay.
And so I linked up with him when I was about like 19 and started really learning from him.
Yeah.
But we had never met before. We were cousins, but
Gotcha.
like never actually
I
even
know how
met.
that goes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yo, my dad had like 9 brothers and sisters.
Wow,
so
gotcha,
it's like, you know what I'm saying? There's plenty of family that I ain't met to this day.
Gotcha.
Especially when we be on tour. My dad always hit me just like, oh, you got a cousin in Detroit. I was like, when do I get cousins in Detroit? You know what I'm saying? But like,
Man,
so anyway.
bring back the family reunions. So we can
for sure. Right? Especially like going into these new generations, like I'm realizing like, yo, I gotta keep that up. But back to it. So he was my introduction to the music industry. You know what I'm saying? So he started bringing me around, and I got like my first few cuts with him. Learn the ropes, learn like what to do and what not to do, and how to conduct yourself in sessions and stuff like that. So, you know, I definitely got to give a big up to him. He was like my point of entry to the music industry, and you know, just been kind of rocking with it ever since.
How many instruments you play?
I just play keys.
Okay.
So I'm self-taught. I taught myself when I was in college. I worked at this rehearsal space.
Gotcha.
But it was like during school hours.
Nice.
So I would just sit there for like 6-7 hours with nothing to do.
Wow.
So I would pull up YouTube videos and just learn how to play like songs on the piano. They had a piano sitting up there, and within like 6 months, I taught myself how to play piano.
Wow.
So I've been playing ever since.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What about you play any instruments?
No, I don't play any instruments. I dabble here and there, but not good enough to really
Just
be
the
functional.
vocals.
Yeah, I'm still just the vocals.
Nah, man,
I'm a vocal
that's an
connoisseur.
instrument. Yeah,
that's
an
me.
instrument. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So.
I'll tell you, I'm just gonna say it. You may as well pick up the guitar, pick up keys, and you know, as a vocalist, I mean, I'm a vocalist myself, and I grew up. It's funny, in my generation, you know, you hear all the guys grew up in church.
Mm-hmm.
We learned it. We just kind of grew up around these crazy singers, and I was in church like 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like,
Damn.
it was
That's a lot.
insane. Yeah. So if I wasn't in church, I was playing basketball. If I wasn't playing basketball, I was at church in choir rehearsal or whatever. And then we had a basketball team at the church. So it's like, I mean, so either way, I spent a lot of time in that environment, but nonetheless, it honed my skills as a singer, honed my skills as a musician. But I'm self-taught also. I mess around on keys, but I picked up guitar.
Yeah.
And I just picked it up, bro, and just like here and there, you got a friend show you a little lick, and then you take that, and you'll write 100 songs to one lick, and then you do that.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It's so many opportunities, but you know, that's just a little nugget out there. I like to throw that out. All my young singers, musicians, just pick something up because it just takes things to the next level.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Diversify your
Absolutely.
situation.
So I would say you guys are independent artists. I know what that feels like, but you guys are having a lot of success. Can you guys, I guess, talk about the highs and lows of being an independent artist and maybe some of the hurdles that you guys have faced?
Well, yeah. So coming out and starting out, we did the label route, you know, for a couple different rounds. You know, we were with Warner for a little while. We were with Island for a little while. Bounced around for a few different places, and we just kind of, you know, it's not to say that there's any drawbacks to the certain companies that we were working with, but if you can have that foundation and build it and just have the right team, you can do it without. You can do it without a label. You can do it on your own.
Yeah.
And there's definitely challenges with it. You know what I mean? You got to work a lot harder. You got to cross a lot more, T's and dot a lot more I's and pay attention to a lot more things. A lot more things can fall through the cracks, and it's all on you if it doesn't. You know what I mean? You can't really blame anybody else. So it's a lot harder work, but you know, once you start to, you know, put that work in and understand what it takes, you know, you start to see the fruits of the labor on the other side of it, and it can be really good passive income. It could be a really good business, you know, for you as a, you know, and then as you grow and you're able to, you know, possibly sign other people under you and do different things like that, it just opens up a whole plethora of opportunities for you as an artist and as a businessman. You know what I mean? But it definitely takes time and it definitely takes like I said, that foundation, you know, that you kind of have to build first. And, you know, there's no really skipping any steps there. But,
Yeah. Were you about to comment on that?
Yeah, I guess I was going to touch on it a little bit. Just like you said, you know, we started off doing on a major, you know what I'm saying? And I think it was a good experience because, you know, you learn a lot. But at the same time, you start to see what everybody's talking about as far as, like, politics and, you know, this regime came in, and then, you know, when we were with 2 different labels. We were in the midst of regime changes, a new CEO, new this, new that, and all the things that come along with that. So like, I think that one of the main things with being independent is just less red tape. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like when you win a major label, like, you know, when something's going, there's a button that they can push that only a major label can push. You know, you're not gonna be able to replicate that. But
that's right.
I also think too, just like for us, it wasn't the craziest jump, just because, you know, we always been pretty self-contained. Like, you know, art always comes from us. You know, video ideas, like, you know, creative, all that stuff. The only thing it was just like funding, and it's just like there's so many different means to where you could get funding for your music and ways to promote it, and also to just connect more so with the fans. When we first signed with the label, it was like 2016. You know, social media was different. Instagram was different. There was no stories on Instagram. Like, the shit was still in chronological order and everything like that. So the game has changed so much where you can connect with your fan base so directly and get a song popping, you know what I'm saying, on your own if it's good and it connects with the people. Like, you don't need, you know what I'm saying, this person to do a radio tour and all this other stuff, you know. But I think we've always been kind of like self-contained as far as like creative, and always had like a close-knit team and stuff. So I don't, there's definitely a difference, but we are always like pretty self-contained.
I understand that. I've actually never been on a label as an artist, worked with labels as a producer, writer, whatever, but I get that. And I've heard the stories from so many different artists that's had opportunities with labels. They don't press the button on whatever, for whatever reason, politics, regime change, it's corporate. But, you know, like shout out to Dame Dash. You hear him always talk about, you know, as a boss. And in the music business, really in all business, when you're the boss, you may be the last person to get paid, but the upside is crazy. Because you control it, you have this and that. You got to make sure you're taking care of your team, make sure you're doing that and doing that. But you open up so many opportunities for yourself to where when it does break out, it breaks out.
No, for sure. I think especially when it comes to your art, man, it's just like, I don't think any of us like asking for permission to do something. You know, oh, can we do this? Can I get this approved? Like, whatever. It's just like, I think especially at this point in my career, in my life, like, I don't want to have to answer to nobody or get somebody's permission if I want to do something. If we believe in something, we just want to be able to go.
Art is subjective. You feel me? Like, and it's subjective. And so if you have to sit there and wait for somebody behind the desk to believe in it as much as you do to push X button or Y button, you know what I mean? When you see everything pointing up data wise, even when there were times we were signed to a major and everything was pointing this way data wise in the direction it needed to, and it's like, why aren't you doing this? And they just, you know, maybe it wasn't the time, or maybe it was fourth quarter and budgets were closing, or maybe, you know, XYZ, and it just didn't get the chance that maybe it could have gotten. You know what I mean? So when you obviously you're not behind a label and you control your own budget, you do, you know, you can make those decisions for yourself. I mean, you got to pay for them if they don't go the right way. Yeah. But you know, when it's time to push it, you can push your own button. I mean, like you said, you can't replicate the same button that a major label can push, but you can make your own decisions.
Yeah. That's what's up. You guys making noise. And again, in this market, in this climate, because you can get to, you know, again, I'm just randomly riding in New Orleans in the car, and then your music pops on the playlist, and it's like, man, who are these guys? So you're gonna draw in your audience, and people are ready to spend money with you guys.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm cool being accountable. You know what I'm saying? Accountable for my. I'd rather be, if something failed, but it was my decision, I'm 100% cool with that. Yeah. But when it's in somebody else's hands or somebody else didn't do their job, that's when
it's harder to live with.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot harder to live with.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's switch gears a little bit. Yeah. We have a segment called the Deep Dive. Okay. And this is where I just pick a song, one of your songs that I love, and we talk about how this song came to be. Yeah. So. We got to talk about Blue Moon.
Oh man, it's my favorite on there. It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Talk about that. So how did that song come about? Like,
so we were in Atlanta visiting Troy Taylor. You know, I know he was on your show. We were visiting Troy, and just to go over there, and you know, he's made some of our favorite songs. You know, from the Tyrese stuff to the Trey stuff to the the Boyz II Men stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean. So he's made some of our favorite songs.
I called Troy the mayor of R&B. He's like,
he is, man. And to see him still doing it to this day, and with the youth, and like finding a way to still like be do his thing and like bring his flavor to the youth it's an amazing thing to see. So shout out Troy.
Was he in the studio doing the chords?
He was doing it. Yep, he does it. He does it. He got all the rings on his fingers, and he's just doing this, and it's just like I believe you.
Because the harmony ain't there if you ain't got no hand motions. But I'm sorry.
Nah,
he gonna swing you in the gear too. Like it don't matter. He gonna make sure that he had me doing 40 takes until the joint was right.
That's
so
what's up.
you know, that's what it's about. But we were out there in Atlanta just visiting him just to try to work on some stuff, and I think it was like the first or second song that we ended up doing in that trip, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was the first joint.
Yeah,
it was the first joint, and we So I always start all my I'm weird like this. I start all my tracks with the drums first. So I settled in on that drum beat, and you know, Troy he had his setup, I had my setup, so he was like, there's always that clunkiness whenever you first work with a producer. It's like, all right, cool, like how's this about to work? We got 2 different computers, 2 different programs, like whatever. But like, so we figured out, I was like, all right, I'll do drums, you lay some keys, and then I'll lay my part. So I laid down like 1 key part just to set the chords. And then he started adding the pads, like those classic Troy Taylor pads, and like played the guitar, the like key guitar on there. Like literally every sound that we've ever heard on like the Trey records or like the classic R&B records. I was like, yes, more of that. I'm getting hyped, like more of that. You know what I'm saying? So tosses me the parts that we start writing, and the song came together like pretty quickly. You know what I'm saying? I think just from the jump, it kind of gave me like a Avant, like Joe type of vibe or whatever.
Read your mind vibes.
You know what I'm saying? So we was just like freaking out, and I was tossing melodies back and forth and stuff. And I remember I was freaking out. I was like, do you hear this Joe melody I'm singing? Like, do you hear this Joe melody that I'm singing right now? But just the energy was just there instantly. You know what I'm saying? And like,
courtesy of tequila.
Yeah, yeah. No,
per usual.
Under the influence of a few different things, but the vibe was great. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, Troy, all he's got, he just needs 10 minutes with the keys. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna sound like a classic. So, you know, that was one of my favorite joints honestly that we've ever done. I say it's like one of my top 5 favorite songs through our whole like discography.
Man, I love that song so much, and it's funny you mentioned Avant, you mentioned Joe, 2 of my favorites. Joe is like, to me, like,
no, he's one of the GOATs. I don't feel like he gets talked about enough.
He does not. And I talk about him all the time just to kind of give him his flowers, because to me he's probably in history. I know he doesn't get this kind of type of credit, but first of all, he has one of the best solo catalogs that's been on R&B, period. Sure. But flat foot singing, the dude can sing the phone book. You know what I mean? Like,
no, for sure.
He's up there with some of the best. I feel like he has some of the best male vocal performances on a record out there, period.
No,
you know
easy.
Yep.
And Avant is amazing as well, right? But when you said that song, I smiled because I'm like, I couldn't find it. I was like, it just reminds me of something. But when you just said that, it reminds me of, I can read your mind, baby.
Yeah,
boy.
It's got a similar bounce to it for sure.
Yeah, but now that you said that, I'm like,
boom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I felt it instantly. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like with us, we don't ever want to sample something. You know what I'm saying? It's about how do you capture the feel. And then, like, I feel like it's like you taking an old movie and then you put it in 4K. That's right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can we update this? How can we make it a high definition and feel like it's, you know, something fresh and new? Like, familiar, but still at the end of the day, like, sometimes I'll creep around in, like, the comments on YouTube and stuff. What is this sample? Is this sample but read your mind? Like, ain't no sample.
That's how we know we achieved what we wanted. When people think that we sample something, but there's no sample in there. You just feel like it is.
But your head's in the right place. Talk about that to the audience, like to the upcoming artist, producer. Why not sampling? Because I'll say this: in hip hop, they sampling all day.
Right.
No,
obviously, there's a business behind that. We understand that portion where there are pitfalls. You're like, I mean, I got this big record that I sampled, but I didn't make the money that I would have made had I created it. But I'm all about if it's a vibe that you liked from this other record as a producer, you can just recreate it, grab that vibe, but still make something new and keep pushing it forward. So talk to the audience. I guess educating these guys as an artist, producer, writer.
Yeah.
What's the benefits?
So for me, one, from the business standpoint, like you already said, you know, already they're going to come for 50, 75% or more off the record. So people ain't eating off of it the way that you. 2, it's just kind of lazy. You know what I mean? Like, you're just kind of being lazy. Anybody can kind of take the joint and, like, sample the record and then just write a new melody around it and just, you know what I mean? It's kind of lazy. And then 3, you get rid of the ability to really inspire with your song. If you can take and take the same feeling and recreate it to the point where people feel like they are back in the 1990s, 2000s, or they're back when they heard Joe for the first time or whatever, but you didn't, then now you're at an inspiration point. Now you're inspiring somebody to do something new because it's not what they did. You know what I mean? And like I said, anytime we can inspire the new generation, we're going to try to do that. You know what I mean? So I feel like those 3 reasons are the reasons why I'd rather recreate it or make something new that kind of sounds like it, but it's not exactly it.
That's it. I think especially for me, like I said, whenever I was teaching myself how to play piano, like, I would try to learn my favorite songs. So I would know the chords. Then low key, I would just, like, change the key and, you know what I'm saying, to take the same chords. And I think it's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, at least. So I'm fortunate when my dad saw that I had an interest in producing. When I was like 16, he bought me a Triton that I still use to say. We just did a show on Monday. I use that same Triton.
That Triton was a god.
Way back in the day. So for me, it's just like, I don't need to sample a Neptune's record. I have all the sounds right here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm also a geek, so I'll sit back and try to figure out, like, okay, well, what patches were they using back in the day, or what drum sounds were they using, or, like, whatever. Like, but it's like, you do a little bit of research. You don't have to sample something. You could just, like, to me, that's part of the, I don't know, the mystique of figuring out how the legends did the music. Instead of just sampling it, it's like, well, what did they use? What reverb did they use? Also, another good resource for me is Neil Pogue, who mixes a lot of our music.
Nice.
You know, he was around for, you know, he mixed every Outkast album and is still doing stuff to this day.
Fantastic.
You know, he does Tyler. He just did the Doja Cat album and stuff like that. And he's one of my OGs. So, but he was around for a lot of those LaFace days.
Gotcha.
So I'll go back and I'll ask him, like, well, what reverb were y'all using on the TLC vocals back in, you know what I'm saying, back on, like, Waterfalls or something like that? And he could tell me the exact piece of equipment that they were using. So it's like, there's just different ways, just like Drew was saying, to get creative, to, like, how could you recreate the vibe? Like, the tools are still there. Yeah. It's like, it's still there to be done. Like, I don't think it was, like, any magic. They was just using whatever technology was available to them at the time. So I think that's always the thing for me. It's just like, how can I take something that feels like Donnell Jones, but, like, flip it to something else? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the greatest of the greats, I mean, artists recycle. The greatest of the greats, they take from other people. But there's a difference between straight up just sampling and ripping it, and, like, taking it and using it as an influence point and inspiration point to, like, create something new that somebody else can then do the same thing later.
Art begets art.
Exactly.
But also, I can't sit back and hate on sampling, because, like, there's too many times that I sit back and I'll be like, oh, man, I love this joint from 96, and I'll go look it up. It was a sample.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I had no idea that only
you can do it tastefully, though. There's
only you was a sample. All the Diddy that I like back in the day, it was all samples. So I just can't sit around and get mad at people saying, well, they've been doing it forever.
No, that's true. And I mean, I like to, I guess, frame it, asking that question. We love these records so much, we want to reuse them.
No, for sure.
But the benefit, I guess, like talking about Blue Moon, you guys captured the vibe, you captured the mood, the temperature, if you will, of those records, but it still was fresh. It still was
for
new.
sure.
You know what I mean? So I appreciate that as a fan. So we'll get into a couple hot takes questions. Are you guys, first of all, are you guys listening to other R&B artists? Like currently? I mean, like, obviously the old heads, but in terms of your generation, are you guys listening to them?
Yeah, I think I got back to the point that I was, because to be honest, there was a time where it felt like R&B was kind of getting a little redundant for a second. There was a pocket where I felt like people were getting a little, like, redundant, but it's got back in the past, like, year or two, where I feel like I'm starting to get inspired again by some of the people that I'm hearing. I'm obviously, being a DMV dude, I always got to bring out Brent, you know what I'm saying, because being back from the same area and stuff like that, I love listening to Brent, you know what I mean. He's super tight. There's this kid named Kale's Too Busy that's out there. You're going to check him out. He's really, really dope. He's a young dude, but I'm starting to like, hearing what the young generation is doing there. I like, in the female R&B space, I'm starting to hear a lot of stuff that's, like, I've always loved Alex Isley, what she does. Just great voice, fantastic voice.
But
You know what I mean?
she come from the tree.
Yeah, it's in a bloodline. You know what I mean?
Out of here, yo.
She gone. You know what I mean? Like so. I could go for days. I mean, Leon Thomas right now is probably one of my favorite.
Same.
You know, just killing it, crushing
that
it.
breaking point is out of here.
Yeah. So you know, there's definitely Leon Bridges. You know what I mean? Like which is a little bit more of the soulful R&B, like the Motown kind of R&B.
Yeah.
Which I love. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of good stuff out here right now.
Nah, for sure.
Nah. There's a lot of dope stuff. Like Drew said, I'm a big Brent fan. Like I love what Brent does, but I think that he also operates from that same mindset of like, you know, you can hear the Donnell Jones influence, like he's kind of pulling from that, but also you could tell you listen to rap, you listen to Tupac, you listen to a lot of stuff that I like. I think I always try to keep up on everything. Like I listen to everything that everybody's doing. Yeah. But one thing I do still feel like is kind of lacking. As far as like contemporary R&B, is like I like stuff that's got like some energy to it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we slowly getting back to that, but like Drew said, for a minute it felt like everything was getting very slow. It's like kind of the same 6
little
8.
sleepy.
Yeah, a little sleepy or whatever. So I feel like that's starting to shift a little bit, and I think that comes with the new generation and people just wanting something a little bit different from R&B. But like, you know, I came up listening to, you know, like I said, 112, Peaches and Cream, Dance With Me, Usher,
in the club, you know,
up tempo stuff. Where the party at? I'm a huge fan of The Dream.
Yeah.
So it's just like, for a long time, I didn't feel like I was hearing that side of R&B that I love within like the contemporary R&B. But I feel like we could get back to it. I like stuff that feels like it could be a single though too. You know what I'm saying? That's like for everybody. You know.
I love that because it was funny. I was just having that conversation in the we were, as a matter of fact, preparing for you guys for this episode, and I'm like, you mentioned Brent Faiyaz. Yeah. You mentioned I think about Bryson Tiller. I think about this wave or style. When you think about some of the other R&B of the past so many years, it really slowed down into this halftime, super groove. Well, I won't say, I'm gonna take groove out. Super smooth, almost
neo soul kind of like everything's leaning very
it's
neo
like
soul.
Smokers music or something, but I don't know if I can find the right words to really describe it. But it got a little mundane because everybody was coming out with full albums that just felt one way. Yeah, and it's one thing to have that as a vibe, but you want to be able to have an upbeat joint, right? You know, well, I need some music to dance to, bro.
Right?
You know
right.
No, 100%, man. I feel like we got to a point where like things that, you know, I guess, and this is quote unquote real R&B or whatever, but it's like, you know, 15, 20 years ago, those would have been album tracks. They weren't the singles. But it's just like, you think about album like Confessions, like you can't, the point of entry for Confessions for a lot of people is or a joint that has some energy and stuff like that. And I feel like that side of R&B got lost in a way where it's like, no, I'm making this quote unquote real R&B or whatever, but it's just like there's so many different sides to it. Like to me, my favorite R&B album ever is Dream's Love Hate album. Like I love that album. That just, to me that album is perfect. But it was like there was a lot of risk and there was a lot of bounce and tempo and edge to it and stuff like that. And it's like you can't tell me that that's not real R&B because that was impactful. Yeah. So it's just like I think just as sounds are shifting, more of that party feel that we all came up on, the stuff that you can dance to. Yeah. And it's gonna be good for the genre because it's like if it's only one sound, it's limiting. You know what I'm saying? Right. And if somebody goes to an R&B playlist and it's just that, then they're gonna walk away from it saying, I don't like R&B. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like we still gotta have those point of entries to get people into it. You know what I'm saying?
And take people on a journey.
Exactly, and have that dynamic.
But you know what? It's just as much about the creators and us as the people that are creating the music as it is about some of the gatekeepers. You know what I mean? And the way that they position some of those records. You know, because you do have some people that are making it, but you don't see necessarily, you know, the playlists that people go to get their upbeat music or the DJs that are playing this music in the club aren't necessarily opening their libraries to go find those upbeat R&B tracks. They're going straight to the rap stuff and they're going straight to the hip hop stuff.
For me, when I'm making a statement like this, I'm not even coming at it from a place of like, oh, me as an artist. I'm coming as a consumer of what I want to hear and what I grew up listening to or what made me fall in love with R&B. You know what I'm saying? It take me out of it, pretend like I'm not an artist. I'm just saying as a listener, I want to have some shit that I could groove to. You know what I'm saying? At the same time.
That's interesting. I think about Doja Cat had that record. It's a pop record, but it's R&B.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of the song, but I'm thinking my dad's 73 years old.
Yeah.
He loves Doja Cat. And literally,
That's crazy.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
We'll be at a wedding, and he's like, I want to hear this song. I'm sorry I cannot think of the name of the song. But it's that,
what's that joint called? The one with SZA, right?
With SZA.
Oh, Kiss Me More?
Kiss Me More.
Yeah.
My dad loves that record.
Yeah.
He'll take my mom out, and they'll dance to that, and then they'll dance to Step in the Name of Love. Like, it's the craziest thing.
But that's the thing, though, too, is like, I remember, like I said, my point of entry for a lot of this music was my parents.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I remember them bopping to Saturday Love or, you know what I'm saying, Bobby Brown or, New Edition or Guy or something. Like, I remember that and what that felt like, or, Gap Band, Cameo, stuff. Like, they was dancing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's always been a part of R&B. We can't take that away. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we need the balance. The balance across the board.
Exactly.
So, top 5 R&B songs. And you think of your top 5 favorite R&B songs.
Ooh, of all time.
It's so hard. Every time I even think of this question, I
That's
can't even
just
answer
so
this question.
rough. Yeah, that's
to say
so
ever,
hard.
Yeah.
but I would just say like top of your head, like
Okay.
top 5 songs from you, or maybe favorites. You know what I'm saying that you may be listening to now, or I can think of a couple ones that I'm like,
All right, we'll go back and forth, and hopefully we get like 2 or 3 each. 'Cause it's gonna be hard for me to get 5
I got
myself.
you. Yeah,
So I'll go first. I'll go Jagged Edge, Promise.
come on.
That's always on my like top 3, top 5
Strong.
list. Like, and it's just one that it's just always sat with me. It's always spoken to me. Like I said, bring the groups back, man. We need everybody too cool. Everybody want to be by themselves and
That's
do their
right.
own thing, man. Bring that group energy back, man.
Yeah.
But Jagged Edge, Promise. I'm gonna start with that one.
That's strong.
Personally. Yeah.
That's strong.
Okay. All right. I'll say Where I Want to Be by Donnell Jones.
Come on, bro.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. That matter of fact, that album, I said Dream, Love, Hate. Like Where I Want to Be by Donnell Jones is like my second favorite R&B album of all time.
When you mentioned the Dream, Love, Hate album, you said it's perfect.
Yeah.
So was that Donnell Jones.
No, that album is perfect. To me, that's the epitome of 90s R&B right there.
That was, I remember, I'm going to let you guys continue to answer your songs. I remember exactly where I was when that album dropped.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I remember the girl that was riding the car.
Yeah.
I remember all of this. I was like 19 years old when that album came out. So that's my time. So
for sure.
I love it all, but yeah, that's strong.
Nah, for me, it's like that's my older brothers. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like what they was vibing to and stuff like that. But yeah, I won't even lie. I steal from that album all the time.
Oh.
That one and the one that came after. I'll be going there for inspiration.
No,
just
Donnell
like
Jones is that dude.
Yeah,
though.
nah, he's
always
that dude.
has been. Always.
Yeah.
Okay, we got Where I Want to Be. We got Promise from Jagged Edge. What we got?
This is a tough one, man. It's gonna have to either pick Boyz II Men or a Drew Hill record.
Come on.
And I'm gonna go back with the group again. I'm gonna go Drew Hill. I'm gonna go These Are the Times.
Strong.
That's a good one.
That's a good record.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
These Are the Times. Drew Hill. I'm
That's
gonna
a
do
strong
that.
record. Yeah.
Big
that's
one.
strong.
All right, I'm gonna take it to a different era then. Do Every Little Step by Bobby Brown.
You better get out of here.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Don't Be
He's a
Cruel.
Bobby.
It's another
Yeah.
top
Yeah.
album for me right
Yeah.
there. Another
Heck
one
yeah.
Hard.
right on the cusp of being like a perfect album. So
That's strong, boy. That's strong.
That's strong.
yeah.
That's strong.
Babyface, Babyface.
Babyface, come on.
Yeah,
the God.
yeah, you can't deny it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it way back before all that, man. It's something that my parents would grow up and listen to, and this was technically R&B. I'm gonna go Sam Cooke. I'm gonna go.
Of course.
I was born by what do we call it? What was the name of the joint? A Change Gonna
Change
Come.
Gonna
Yeah, there you
Come.
go.
Change
Yeah,
Gonna
I mean that's just I only say that just because I remember just sitting in the car and listening to that at least once or twice a week. You know, on the way to church, my mom was definitely listening to that one.
That
you
record
know, so.
is like, obviously it's before our time, but it's one of those records that, you know, that my parents played, you know, you still get that. When I hear that record, I think about the civil rights movement.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
You feel like you want to go and make a difference as soon as you hear that joint.
absolutely. But that song, you know, I don't know. It's obviously it's R&B, it's gospel, it's all the cornerstones of what, you know, of Black American music.
Black American music, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No, it's fantastic, fantastic. So, in terms of
Oh, wait, we need one more.
Yeah, one more.
Was that
one
four?
more.
No, that was
That was
4.
like 4. Yeah, you get. Take
Oh,
the
my
last
bad.
one
Go
home,
for it.
take
My
the
bad.
last one.
Yeah. So this is a curveball, but I made this statement that to my friend, I think this is one of the greatest songs ever made.
Okay.
Return of the Mac.
Oh my goodness! I mean, hey, bro, you can't argue. Who doesn't
Return
know
of
that
the
song?
Mac is one of the.
You're not
I did my digging. I didn't really hear too many other songs by homie that I liked.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was on when he made that song.
Bruh, he was on
That-
something.
He was on
And
something.
what's funny,
That's very true.
I posted, somebody
Yeah.
posted on Instagram a thread of like one hit wonder, like what's the best one hit wonder songs?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, if Return of the Mac not on your list,
Yeah.
like what we talking about? That
Yeah.
record been popping. I don't know what year it came out, like 93, 94, I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe mid 90s. And it's still rolled today. Like
No,
every time I hear
if
it,
you
I'm
put
like,
that on now in 2023, it still will go off.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. Like the drums, the chords, every melody is perfect. Like yeah,
Crazy.
there's something about that joint.
He was on something like that.
Man,
I think he got caught up. He did a bid right when it was coming out or something like
Wow.
that. Something crazy story. I'd have to look it up, but it was something like that.
That's when, like, you talk about the label pressing the button. Like what
Yeah.
happened? Like, how did that record do that, bro?
that
Like,
joint just
it is
exploded
crazy.
out of nowhere. He had nothing. Mark Morris saying nothing else going
No,
on, but
bro, that record
one.
still go.
I got 2 honorable mentions. I just have to mention them. Everybody who knows me knows, and this is actual cover, and I didn't even know that for the longest time. But "Angel of Mine" by Monica.
Oh yeah,
Got to be on there.
Yeah.
And then my other one would have to be, dang, it just slipped me. "Oh Shy," If I Ever Fall in Love
come
Again.
on.
Come on. It's up
Also
there.
a cover.
Also.
Yeah,
Also.
yeah.
Two
Thing, man,
joints that I just
you trying to
never.
pare it down to 5. It's tough.
It's tough.
Possible,
It's
bro.
tough.
It's
It's
I
tough.
possible.
don't know.
I can't.
Musiq Soulchild,
Don't
Change. Like,
I
that's on
asked
there
this
too.
question, I can never answer.
I'm gonna
it
leave
myself.
here and it's just gonna. I'll be like, damn, I should have said. Blah, blah, blah. I should have said something else, but no.
Yeah.
And we got a solid 5. We got a
Yeah,
solid,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
solid
Yeah, got a solid,
Got a
6 or
solid
7 actually.
I didn't say
Yeah,
no
nah,
Musiq
for sure.
Soulchild. I'm killing myself for that.
Nah,
you know what I
music-
mean? Like,
Music is one of them
Yeah,
ones.
one of the
bro.
best, one of them
Music
ones.
is one of them
Yeah.
ones. He always had put out strong contributions, bro.
man. And his just music, the structure of his songs is just so unorthodox, and
Yeah.
like all the utilization of 6/8 and stuff within his music too was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
It's crazy.
one
We
of
had
those.
I had Andre Harris on the show, who produced a lot of that.
Yeah.
Earlier, well, shit, Musiq Soulchild, Jill Scott,
It's that Philly
poetry. You know what I mean? All that Philly, bro. They own something.
Yeah.
They own something.
Yep.
So you're from the DMV.
Yeah.
And you're from what part of Colorado?
Denver.
You from
Aurora.
Denver?
Aurora
You're
specifically.
from Aurora.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in Aurora growing up.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I have family in in Aurora, and I couldn't tell you the name of the neighborhood, but if I say it, I know you know it. But,
Yeah.
over the summer, going to my uncle play for the Raiders.
Oh,
and
nice.
then,
Not the Raiders. My bad. I'm over here.
no,
Different.
he played for the Raiders in the '70s, and then he played for the Broncos.
Oh, word,
but
word.
he he still lives there now.
That's crazy.
But so growing up, we always would go to Denver over the certain summers.
You know, it's wild, man. I always tell people, you know, when I mention I'm from Colorado, they're like, oh, I didn't know black people lived in Colorado. I'm like, look, where I grew up, that was not my existence growing up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Aurora's always had like a really strong black community. You know, my
Yeah,
dad,
for sure.
My dad worked for the city and stuff like that. So I'm glad to hear that you actually been in Aurora.
Yeah, and I'm saying that
just
I guess expounding on that because there are a lot of R&B fans in Denver, bro.
Yeah, no, for
Man.
sure.
It's
Like
one of our
in Denver?
strongest, for sure.
R&B. I mean, I as an indie, I've gone out there and killed in Denver.
Well, Denver is a transplant city, so people come from everywhere
Yeah.
to move to Denver. I'm the product of 2 transplants. My mom's from Chicago.
Gotcha.
My dad's from Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
So you know what I'm saying. But there's people from everywhere, all walks of life and stuff like that. So I think people are always surprised how diverse and how many music fans of all different genres are always kind of in that city.
And, I mean, and then from all cultures, everybody
Exactly.
just loves R&B there.
Exactly.
For sure. It's a sleeper city. So I'm gonna get into the Respect the Pen game.
Okay.
And I really would like to break this down. You guys have that song, Dante's Creek.
Okay.
So Respect the Pen, I'm respecting the ink on that joint. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how you guys come with the lyrics. So, you know, I'm reading this line, I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. Now, first of all, I remember the show.
Yes. Okay. I was about to say.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we know
and
that.
when you listen like that that line, when I hear you sing the song, and I'm like, obviously, I love the tribute to that. Like, take me on that journey. And I'm kind of treating this almost like the deep dive, but take me on that journey, you know, of you writing the lines and what those lyrics mean to you.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, definitely, first and foremost, tribute to the, you know, because we're 90s babies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I can still remember when I hear that. Like, I can still remember where I'm at when I hear that Dawson's Creek theme song and the shows that my brother watching the show in the other room and me over here messing with my friends. But it definitely takes me back. So it's very nostalgic for me, as it is for anybody else that probably was growing up during that time and can hear it. But, I mean, it's also just a testament. We were the song, was it Atlanta or we were in Miami? We were with Tim, right?
Yeah, we were in Atlanta.
We're working with Timbaland at the time.
Nice.
And we went off in our own little room and we were just kind of working on some stuff. Had the guitar lick, and then that was the first kind of thing that came to our mind. And then we kind of like wrote the lyrics off of that, because it was just a song that I always loved, and it just kind of attested to me. The song itself is more just talking about, like, coming out to California, right, and just having a dream and like kind of like giving it all to the dream, and like if you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. You're just kind of like youths out there, young people out there trying to just give your shot out there, and it's just California's kind of unforgiving. Los Angeles is a really unforgiving city, and this industry can be really unforgiving. Yeah. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, I don't want to wait for my life to be able. I want to take my shot now, and you know what I mean. I want to wait for our lives to be over. If it happened now, would you take it how you left it? Is the lyric. So it's just like, if your life ended up right now, would you be happy with all the things that you took a chance on or didn't take a chance on? And that's kind of what the whole entire song is kind of about. And it's kind of an environment of our career and the chance that we took at kind of trying to make this group and make it a thing. And we're happy that we did it. Obviously,
That's powerful.
So. Yeah, when I think about our first album, just in general, I always think that the theme is like just being young in LA. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of like the overarching theme. Yeah. So even when we did that joint, it was we were kind of just goofing off at first. I think because I've been listening to a bunch of No Doubt before that.
Come on. Okay.
And was listening to Don't Speak, and just like the way that song felt. And had the homie play something that kind of felt like that. And just like Drew said, we just like, low-key, I think I just said it, like, just on some joke. And then Drew was in the booth. He was just like, oh, that's tight. But I think just the overall theme of that first album, like I said, it's just like being young in LA, trying to figure out your way, like trying to make something out of yourself. Yeah. Because that's kind of the places that we was at, you know what I'm saying? It was just like we was just both trying to make it in the industry while at the same time, like, look the part and feel like we were the part, you know what I'm saying? So I think that then still to this day, man, like I said, we just did a show last week. That song it resonates in a different way.
Ask,
you know what I'm saying?
How is that song received? I could imagine.
No, it's the best song to perform. Everybody just sings it back every single time, like without fail, no matter what city. Even if, like, say the set is like, all right, this is not going great. Like, these people are not the most receptive crowd. Yeah. That one, every time, like, that'll bring them back in. It's the home base.
Yeah. And we knew it because at first the song didn't have any drums, bass, anything on it. It was just Drew's voice to the guitar.
Nice.
And we started testing it out when we was on tour with Bryson. And I remember the first time we did it was actually in Atlanta. And we get on social media afterwards, and there's like 10 videos. Like, what is this song? What song is this? What song is this? Like, I love this. Like, nice. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, okay, I think we got one with this one, because it wasn't out yet. It wasn't. We were just like, let's just try it out, and it just went off. And still, like I said, still to this day, 6 years later, that song still just resonates with people on a real level.
Is that the closer, or is that the?
It's a closer. It's one of the closers.
The second to last on this last run. Gotcha. It's like it's definitely got to be like
I can imagine that's the one. Everybody's phones up.
Yeah, phone lights. Yeah,
waving.
I make sure we light the whole thing up every single time. Yeah. I even tell them, look, I'll start this over till everybody take their phone lights up.
Bring them out.
Light it all up. You know what I mean? And it's always a moment every single time. It's just, and the cool thing about the way the song is written is because if you really pay attention to the lyrics, it's easy to think about, you're talking about kind of like a relationship with somebody, right? Like, I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. If it happened now, would you take it as how you left it? This is give and take. Take your time and take me under. I want to know, can you show me what I'm missing? So it's almost like you're talking to somebody. But as the time goes, it's one of those songs that I wrote that later on it developed a new meaning for me while we were doing it. It's almost like the relationship that we have with with music and this dream and this goal that we're chasing. Yeah. So it's almost a relationship we have with that as opposed to like an actual person. You know what I mean? And this dream and this goal that we chased, it ended up showing us what we've been missing this entire time. And like, you know, it's been the fruits of our labor have showed us things that we never thought that we'd ever be able to achieve and experience and things like that. So we're very, very thankful for it.
That's amazing. I think one of my favorite things about just music is, well, one of my favorite things, I guess, about music in general is having people sing along. Right? Mm-hmm. And to me, it's something extremely magical and powerful when everyone is singing together in chorus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's all unison, whether it's harmony, but the power of the vibrations of each of our souls or each of our beings vibrating this, you know, this message is singing together. That's why even in church, why it's so powerful when a choir is singing, or at a football game when everybody's chanting whatever the chant is. It's something powerful when we all get together and sing a song. And I can imagine a song like that just being inspirational in that way. And you know, having 2,000-3,000 people with their lighters up, singing their hearts out, singing those lyrics. That's a powerful feeling. It's
a super, super powerful feeling. It's probably one of the few songs that we have that I could just put the microphone out for the entire song. I probably wouldn't have to say a word, and they would be able to sing probably the entire thing. And that's just a beautiful feeling. Like, especially that we put it towards the end of the set, and you're probably exhausted because we've been jumping around singing this, singing that. But then when it gets to that point, it's just like this euphoric state, you know, when it's just like something that you put your heart and soul into, and it's been out for as long as it's been out, and it's just still resonating with new people and with people that have known it, and whatever, it still connects with them in the same way. Yeah. It's a beautiful feeling when they sing that thing back, you know.
I bet. So you guys, I guess, what do you guys have coming up? I know you just got off tour. Is there something new coming? I mean, the album is still fresh to a lot of people, so is a new, I guess, a second leg of the tour coming up, or
yeah, we got some more shows coming up, a bunch of new music. You know, we're always working.
Been working with Troy a lot more too, so we got some more Troy stuff coming too, some classics.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of new music coming. You know what I'm saying? I think at this point we just want to just feed the fans. You know what I'm saying? Especially like being out and being able to see them and see, you know, kind of receive the love. It was our first tour in, you know, some years, so just seeing that, it's just like we just want to feed the fans, make sure that we just continuing to build on what we've been building for the past 6 years. So a bunch of new music coming, bunch of new shows coming. So
I got to catch one of them days, guys.
Man, we're going to let you know when the next one is, for sure.
I'm going to give a shout out. I appreciate the gift. You guys popped up with the merch.
Yeah, always.
Merch. So I will be rocking my Scully right here. I
appreciate you.
I love it. So in terms of what you guys have coming up, you're going to be coming back on tour, new music.
Yeah.
Continue pushing this album.
Yeah.
This album is crazy.
We're not done with it. We're not done with it. This is a New Moon tour. We still pushing it.
Man. I got to catch one of the days. But look, it's a continue conversation, man. Thank you guys for joining the Can We Talk R&B podcast.
Appreciate
guys, check out these guys are crazy R&B contributors that are contributing something fantastic to the culture. God bless you guys, man. See y'all next week.
Thank you.
Can we talk? Oh, can we talk? Can we talk?